this blank, then the rest of them are probably going to be blank.
It's a good thing that pot came out of our wheel, because then we'd have to maybe go in there and dive and cut it all out.
That's why you don't set your pot that close to somebody else's.
Stupid kindergarten game. You! Now, back to business. This one's got to produce. Let's drop down. I only need like about a
10 billion snow crabs vanished from the Bering Sea almost overnight, wiping out nearly $1 billion and leaving harbors silent where engines once roared. But what if that collapse wasn't fully natural? In this film, we unpack the single geopolitical move that froze an entire supply chain and turned the world's most rugged crab fishermen into bystanders. Stay with me as we trace how one sanction order shattered a winter economy and changed what lands on your dinner plate. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great! Thank you so much. Now, back to the video. Halfway across the Pacific, a cargo ship changes course. The captain gets the signal, turn around. There's no storm on radar, no mechanical issue, just a new restriction inked into law. One line of policy closes ports that once welcomed millions of pounds of Russian snow crab. Within hours, a steady trade route that fed American markets goes silent.
Like when we set, there's no gear, and I come back 4 days later, there's a load of gear everywhere. Going right up one of my strings, popper pod. Well, I set this gear 6 days ago, Keith, and I don't have time to play your games. I could care less about his gear. I could care less where he... We're almost there.
With a major storm closing in, Jonathan won't be able to reset.
For years, the US and Russia worked side by side without fanfare. Alaskan fleets hauled hard-earned catches from the icy shelf, while Russian processors filled the gaps in global demand. Their crabs moved through the same wholesalers, the same restaurants, even the same menus. It created a balance: wild harvests backed by steady imports, prices held in check by a rhythm that rarely missed a beat. That rhythm stops in March 2022. Containers already mid-ocean are denied entry. The crab inside, perfectly preserved, ready for market, has nowhere to land.
You're gonna check the first spot, and the thing about the first spot is, whatever that pot has,
We have 13 pots left and a big storm coming.
come on, guys.
But if they can keep it up, it'll be good enough for a ticket home. The momentary distraction has the time bandit tangled in another boat's gear.
I traced the wizard.
Cold storage fills up. Dock workers move from shifts on the pier to waiting at home for word that never comes. Crews in Alaska tie off vessels, fuel tanks untouched. Season debts pile up while processors shut doors, not for lack of skill, but for lack of product. The effect ripples fast. Restaurants cross snow crab off menus, turning to Canada or Norway where supply costs more and quality varies. Importers chase limited quotas, prices leap in weeks. Tens of millions of pounds vanish from commerce. The numbers rise while the nets stay dry. Out on the docks, people describe the same feeling: years spent learning how to fish sustainably, wiped away by a rule signed far from the coast. The US side has long focused on conservation, keeping quotas tight. Russia pushed volume. That mix built global dependence, and breaking it overnight sent shockwaves through every link. One embargo rewrote the math of seafood worldwide faster than the ocean itself could recover. Next, we follow that recovery, below the surface, where warming currents begin their own blockade. Even if the politics had stayed steady, the Bering Sea was already changing in ways no one could vote on. Snow crabs depend on cold, narrow bands of water, roughly between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius, and thick ice above that shelters them from predators. Over time, those conditions began to drift. Winters grew shorter, and the icy layer that once sealed in their habitat thinned year by year. That slow shift cut straight into the base of their food web long before the embargo took hold.
We don't know yet. Can't think that far ahead. Scrap fishing.
That happens.
Anyway, casualties of war.
Yeah, man, we were just pulling our pot. We freed one pot. We had one in our rudder.
Once the water warmed beyond that narrow range, young crabs faced a different kind of blockade. They moved toward shallower, warmer zones with fewer nutrients and more competition. Juveniles that once settled into safe pockets under ice now struggled to survive, and survival rates fell sharply. Without Russian monitoring vessels in the northern zones, entire stretches of habitat went unobserved. When researchers ran their next assessments, they found that an estimated 10 billion crabs had vanished, not hauled up in nets, but lost to imbalance. Some were likely eaten before maturity, others starved as nutrient cycles shifted in the altered currents. Human regulation works on fixed schedules, permits, quotas, deadlines. The ocean operates with none. Its timing stretches over decades, and the feedback comes quietly, through lower counts and changing currents. That mismatch left fishermen reacting too late, adjusting seasons only after the loss had already unfolded below them.
Sucked his pot underneath my boat, and his buoys came up in right by my prop. The rest of them are probably going to have that.
We'll take it. Probably about a 45 there.
He needs these pots to come up full.
It's go time, man!
The shortage caused by sanctions suddenly overlapped with a natural collapse, creating an economic and ecological freefall. For families along the coast, that meant docked boats, deferred loans, and hard decisions about retraining into new work. Yet under that same sea, small signals persist. Fresh clusters of baby crabs have begun showing up under reforming ice, hinting that the system is at least capable of mending itself, slowly, on its own schedule. Next, the question becomes how we learn to balance with that rhythm, rather than work against it. Out on the water, balance is everything. One gust can swing the current, just like one policy or one warm season can swing a fishery. The snow crab collapse proves how fragile the mix of politics and temperature can be. Nature doesn't bend to human timelines, it reacts to attention and silence. As one source puts it, when humans listen and slow down, the sea will tell us its next chapter. The trick is to buy and fish with awareness, choose sustainable sources and trace where your meals come from. Keep watching the Bering Sea, it's already writing its next chapter beneath the ice.